everyone. How are we doing this evening? Good, I hope. So as you could tell by the title card, I want to talk a little bit about my experience at D23 this year in 2024. Now, a little backstory. 2 years ago, I intended to go. I purchased a ticket. You have to be a member of D23 to go. I'm a gold member. And long story short, I ended up not going. Reasons being don't matter. But I was very excited to attend this year, 2 years later, D23 2024. Now, my first attempt, I didn't have any issues getting a ticket for one day, even though, as I said, I ended up not going. This year, they had a gold member sort of pre-buy. I think you could save a little bit of money, I don't remember, but I was unsuccessful in obtaining some, 4 tickets for myself and some friends. I thought, okay, well, that's the end. Well, as luck would have it, one of my friends, who's also a Disney fan, tried to get tickets through the general admission, if you will, and she was successful. She obtained 4 tickets for Saturday, yesterday. And again, before we get too far into this, no, we did not do all 3 days. We did not go to the Honda Center to see the big event. We just kind of wanted to go on one day, and to be honest, just sort of check out the marketplace. There's a lot of stuff to sort of sell, and people dress up, and thought it would be kind of a great day. And it just ended up, honestly, it was just awful. These tickets are, I don't know, $100 a piece, $98, something like that. And I believe there's a reason why some of it was bad. I think this is the very first year they started using a queue system for folks to get into some of the shopping areas. The D23 Marketplace, Mickey's of Glendale, the Walt Disney Company store, and the Walt Disney Studio store, I believe, were the 4 that had queues. Here's a map of the kind of the whole arena, if you will. You know what? Here, I'll do a cutaway, and we'll just kind of do a slow pan of that map. And then in one particular area, I'll show you again here, another spot. So here, take a look. Here's sort of a close-up of this map. Go ahead. All right, so here's a close-up of the map. Here's all the experiences and shopping you may or may not be able to do. Excuse me, let's try that again. There we go. Again, some more booths. Good luck getting into the marketplace. So that kind of gives you an idea. Now, funny thing is, you have to be there. I think there were 3 or 4 queue opportunities. One at like 5 a.m. And if you weren't successful, you could try again at 1, and then again at like 4, I believe. So we weren't getting up early enough for the early one, so we tried to do the 1 p.m. And the interesting thing is, even if we were unsuccessful, and I'm getting way ahead of myself. Check this out. You can only bring 1 person with you in the queue. So even though there were 4 of us, theoretically, if you were by yourself and someone else wasn't a D23 member, you could only bring one of your friends into a queue to go shopping at the D23 Marketplace, Mickey's at Glendale, Walt Disney Company store, or Disney Studio store. So my friend bought 4 tickets, and in theory, she would only be able to bring one of us if she was successful in getting into one of the queues that would allow you, give you a number, much like Disneyland. Hey, return, we're now allowing in groups 25 to 30 to come into the area, right? Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Now, there were 4 of us, and since I'm a D23 member and she's a D23 member, we would be able to bring our counterparts who weren't members. But there's a possibility, because we'd have to do it separately, that one of us would get in and the other one wouldn't. What kind of horse shit is that? And check this out even further. They had a special pin for D23 members who went to this event. But since I wasn't the person who bought the tickets, the 4 of us, even though we spent $400, we could even get 2 pins, even though I'm a D23 gold member. The only person who could get a pin was the person who purchased tickets, which seems obscene to me a little bit. And I don't really give a crap about a pin. This is more a what's right and what's wrong sort of theme. And I understand the areas that were a queue space are obviously the most popular for shopping, and they don't need them overrun. That makes sense. I understand. I'm presuming so. I believe this is the first year of the queues. And again, we weren't there for any of the symposiums or the people talking about what the parks are going to be doing over the next 10 years or movies that are coming out, any secret trailers. We didn't participate in any of that. I know you're going to see a ton of videos on how D23 is the greatest thing ever. And it may be for the hardcore, die-hard cats that are going for 3 days. And I can't imagine spending 3 days there, what you do all day. This is just for the regular Joe fan who's got a little bit of money. And I don't understand this because I have a little bit of money. My plan was to go there and buy stuff. But the reality was I couldn't, because I couldn't get a space in any of the queues. Now, we didn't stay till 4 o'clock to try again, because imagine if you got there at 4:30 or 5 in the morning and you didn't get the first queue, you didn't get the second queue, you didn't get the third queue to go into these places. I know what you're saying. Well, Ryan, what did you do? Well, I'll tell you. We walked around in some of the areas here, because here is, for example, again, you saw it before, on this north 200 level, there's the D23 marketplace. We weren't able to get into that. We weren't able to get into the Disney stores, which are over here somewhere. Here's the D23 Emporium. Can't get into that. I forget what some of the others were here. So you kind of wander around. You're like, okay, well, let's wander around and see some of the areas that you don't need a queue. Here's the thing. We weren't the only cats not getting into, not successful in getting into a queue. We didn't get a number to say, hey, please return at X number of time, or now serving, row 25 to 30. Well, we weren't alone. So the other booths that didn't have queue requirements get really, really full because no one has anything to do. I just think it was such a botched attempt. I like Roosevelt shirts. I wanted to maybe buy the D23 exclusive, quote unquote, Roosevelt shirt. Well, when we get to the Roosevelt booth, Christ, the lines, it's like an hour and a half to stand in line for a $70 shirt that I don't even need. Now, I think the reason the line is so long is because the other attendees are looking to get into that marketplace and do some other things, and they failed like we did. So it's like, all right, well, let's go over here. Now, we got to do a couple things. We walked through the Avatar display. Oh, look, I even got we'll put this up in the garage. They gave us a free sort of Avatar poster, something that's streaming on Disney Plus at some point. It was a kind of a cool, they spent a lot of money, spared no expense. It was quite nice, but that burned 20-25 minutes, and we got to go through the little Imagineering tour. And I didn't take any pictures, and I was, quite frankly, I was a little upset, and my friends were terribly upset. They had this really neat car display. I forget what it was called. I'll tell you right now. The Walt Disney Archives Great Big Beautiful Car Show. It was really cool. They had Herbie there. They had the Cruella de Vil, whatever they were called. Her car. They had an old tram from Disneyland from the 80s, I think. They had, actually, I did take a picture of one of the cars on Main Street. Here, take a look. That was there. So that was kind of interesting. And you take a couple snaps of the cars, snapshots, I guess. And I'm not a big guy for a lot of, hey, do you want to pose in front of this or that? That's not really my scene. But because of the queue requirements, I think the smaller stores just got overrun with people because everybody's waiting to get into the D23 marketplace or Mickey's of Glendale, or some products that most people would be interested in. And I understand, I'm going to say, and I don't know for certain, that, well, they got overrun last year. I mean, there's a lot of people going there, and there's a lot of people that are hardcore. I mean, they dress up, they bound, they do the whole bit. And that's great and awesome, but you can't buy anything. You even had to wait in line if they're I think it's Visa. Yeah, Visa, it's sponsored by Visa. They've got a booth there, so you can sign up and get a credit card with Mickey Mouse on it. And even that had a line because no one had anything to do. Hell, I almost got in line just when I need another credit card. Anyway, it kind of ruined our day. Even the archives. I thought, let's go walk through the Disney archives. As many of you know, I went to the Walt Disney Studio in Burbank and got to hold an Academy Award and got to see some archives. It was really a great day and a lot of fun. When you go to the archives, it was a little misleading. It's just some guys, like a symposium, some cats talking about the archives. They don't really have anything to share. I was expecting a booth where you'd walk through and stuff would be behind glass. Here's an original ticket. Here's this, here's that. And in my, I guess on some level I'm a neophyte on D23. I thought there would be other vendors selling other things, not just Disney specific, that it would be like if I wanted to sell some of my Disney memorabilia, I could purchase a booth there and peddle it almost like a farmer's market, if you will. That's not the case, at least my experience. And I just, hopefully they don't do this again. Well, 2 years my attitude may change, but right now I see no point in going back. It was just awful. And again, I was willing to spend some money. I was trying to spend money. I wanted to buy the stupid Roosevelt shirts. Line too long. My friends, like the Loungefly booth. It's like an hour wait to buy a goddamn backpack. And it was because no one could get into the other marketplaces. Now, to me, why can't you do the booth holds, because booth sizes are different. Hey, this booth holds 75 people. There's no queue, right? Clicked about, hey, we got 75. Ryan, you got to wait until these cats are done. And then when you get in, they just say, hey, you've got, pick a time. You got 15 minutes in this booth to look at stuff, or 20 minutes and purchase. Then you got to go because we've got people standing here. And then if you want to stand in that line, okay, this line's an hour, but I'm dying to get into the D23 marketplace because I want to buy a hat that says D23 or a t-shirt, which I have a D23 hat that I bought new from 2 years ago. Even though I didn't go, I think I bought it on eBay or something like that because I like the hat. So I was anxious to get into there. I actually have a jacket from Mickey's of Glendale. Look it up if you're unaware. But it was just really poorly mismanaged, I guess I would say. And you've got such a captive audience that are so dedicated to House of the Mouse and the process. I think they lost sight of a lot of these people are willing to spend hard-earned dollars in your stores. And again, I'm not standing in line an hour for a goddamn, for a shirt that arguably in a week I'll be able to buy online anyway. And I think the reason lines for the smaller things got so long is everybody's like, well, I couldn't get in the queue at the 1 o'clock queue, or at 4 a.m. or 5:30, whenever it was, dark 30, we tried to get into the 8 a.m. queue. I failed. Well, I'm here, so now it's 8 o'clock. I got to wait all the way 5 hours to the next opportunity to get into a queue. And just because you get in the queue at 1 o'clock doesn't mean you get to walk to the store at 1:05. Your entry point could be 3:30. So you stand around for another, 2-3 hours, which is how the queue system works. God, it was so frustrating. And I'm a reasonable man. So I don't understand why they did it that way. So that's why my title card says my experience was awful. Now, I know you're going to see a bunch of videos where everybody's just all googly eyes and excited. It was the greatest thing ever. And to be fair, we didn't go across on Friday to see at the Honda Center what they're doing with Mandalorian, what the new Snow White's going to be, what the parks are going to be doing. You know what? There's a ton of YouTube videos. They're going to come out. I don't have to go. I can watch. I can watch Fresh Baked. I can watch Hey Bricky. I can watch Offhand Disney. They're all wonderful programs. I don't know if Adam the Woo is going, but I rest assured that Fresh Bake, Dave, and the kid from Offhand Disney will give a honest and full opinion. But rest assured, we walked around. There were a few things that were kind of cool. There were some people dressed nicely. I did take a picture, but there was actually a gal dressed as Madame Leota. She had the whole table, and at first you thought it was someone who like a regular person. It wasn't. As Mike pointed out, no, that's a Disney employee. There was a gal that had a tiki room dress with some parrots, and you don't notice it, but just off to the side there's a cat with a remote control making the parrots go up and down. It's like, nope, those are Disney employees, which is awesome that they're trying to do that, but it sort of spoiled. I thought, wow, these people are just dedicated to it, and they weren't. That's their job. But again, I just think that queue system, I can't imagine. We left after about 1:15, 1:10, and we stuck around to see if we could get, and again, you have 2 D23 Gold members. I pay $150 a year. I think that's what it is. Doesn't matter. I pay a significant sum of money to be a gold member, and I couldn't even get the exclusive gold member pin because I didn't personally buy the ticket. That's asinine to me. And it was asking Kathleen. Everybody was losing their minds over this, and I can't say that I blame them. Didn't get to see the I don't think we saw the Marvel thing, or if we did, it was underwhelming. There was a really cool ESPN Zone thing they kind of had going on. Rest assured, there were a few things that were kind of fun. The other thing I don't understand is, why don't they have booze there? You should have an alcohol booth. Simple. Hey, you do Jack and Coke, Jack and Diet, and like margaritas, and they're $20 a piece. Because when people drink, they spend money. But maybe they don't have that because they've got the stupid queue system, so 2/3 of your audience can't get into the 4 or 5 places that actually have the products that people want to buy. There's the Citizen Watch booth. So, because Citizen partners with Disney, and they've got, I own 2. And they're selling them there, but I bought them on Amazon a couple of years ago for probably a little less money than they're selling at the D23. And there's the D23 exclusive, which wasn't an attractive watch. And the funny thing is, it's like, well, we're down to our last 2. Do you want one? And it's like, no, I have enough watches. And to be honest, I was sort of burnt out. But anyway, if you go to D23, and I'm not saying I won't try again in 2 years, because in 2 years, I probably won't remember anyway. And I'm like, well, let's try again. Or what I will remember is I'll be smarter. And I know what you're saying. Well, you should buy the 3 days and do the full experience. You have limited experience, so your views are skewed. And that may be fair. But I will say I'm not interested in just sitting in the duck pond, which is what it used to be called, not the Honda Center, and listen to a bunch of suits wax poetic about what's going to happen the next couple of years, or talk about Snow White and all the movies they've got coming up. I'm not that interested in that necessarily. Same with Lucasfilm. You couldn't get in to see Lucasfilm if your life depended on it. And I'm not even, and the little bit standing on the sides that I saw, they're talking about the Boba Fett shit from like 2 years ago, because they got nothing new coming out. And I'm not terribly, that doesn't necessarily interest me, partly because of the audience that I was with, my friends. They don't want to sit and listen to that stuff. And then there's another part of me, again, like earlier, hey, I can see it on YouTube. Just like if you've stuck through my tear long enough, There's other places I can kind of see, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get to see what I couldn't go see because I wasn't lucky enough. And see, that's the finer point, right? So what if the guy that got there at 5, he doesn't get in the, he failed to get in the queue from the 5 to 1. Then he tries again at 1, fails the 1, and he tries again at 4 and fails. So he spends all goddamn day there, and all he or she wants to do, all they want to do, is get into the D23 marketplace because they want to buy a shirt or a hat. And they can't because the system prevented them from, and I guarantee you D23 wants to sell the hat, but the system won't let me buy the hat. You know what? Take a look at this. This is my D23 hat that I bought on eBay new because I was a hooplehead and didn't go, not D23 of 2022. Here's the hat. I'll show you right now. Take a look. So here's that hat I was speaking to. As you can see, D23 Expo 2022. Now I didn't go for, basically I forgot, but I was able to secure this hat. Now, because I couldn't get into the goddamn D23 marketplace because of their queue system, I wasn't able to buy a $30 hat, which I would have gladly purchased, and probably a shirt or two. I've worn this hat. Well, you've seen it on my head in videos. It's a great hat. Anyway, there's the hat. I bought it. You know what? It's just such a frustration. How does Disney allow that to happen? I have money. I'd have spent $400 or $500 there easily. Roosevelt would have gotten a shirt. And it's not Roosevelt's fault. They had a long line. And I didn't want to stand in that line. And I wouldn't have stood there even if my friends weren't with me. It's a $70 shirt. And it's not that nice of a shirt. They're nice shirts, but it's not, you know what I'm saying. I don't know. God damn, it was such a frustration. It's been, not quite 24 hours, but it's been a minute, and I had calmed back down. The more I think about it, it was just such a frustration, such a terrible frustration. And again, like the archives, I would have done something different with the archives, and I'm surprised there weren't other vendors. I don't know. Anyway, clearly I'm babbling. So, for those of you that think that you missed out on D23, if you're a regular Joe or Jane, or they, I don't think you missed anything. I think you would have been as disappointed as I am. Now, I'm a very fortunate person, so this won't keep me up at nights, and the reality is in 2 years, I'll probably go again. I guarantee you the folks that I went with won't. And I'll still only do the one day. And I'm hoping that they eliminate that queue thing, because you could just have a booth. Hey, there's the line. We let 50 in at a time, just like they do at Disneyland. They do some events. The Star Wars event on Star Wars Day, they have special pins. I stood in line, and you stand there, and it's like, well, you have to wait a moment, sir. Remember even during COVID, we only let so many people in this space at a time. That's not an unreasonable thing. And if I really wanted to get into the D23 marketplace, I'll stand in that line, even if it's 100 people deep. I want to get in the store, I'm standing here. Every time someone leaves, one gets to go in. You limit that time. Not this queue thing, because there's no point in standing in line, because you just have to wait for a queue. And there was a couple times we walked by, and there wasn't a goddamn person in the booth. Hey, can we just go in here? We don't want to buy something. I want to spend $400. Well, no, it's a queue system. Well, there's not even anybody in here. So poorly mismanaged. The entire point of D23 is to make money. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Damn it. Anyway, I've babbled enough. I'm sure our 4 experiences were not unique. I'm sure you will see others that will have a different opinion than I do. Well, you'll see hundreds of videos. Everybody says it's glorious and awesome. And that's great. That was their experience. Again, the regular Joe and Jane and they, I don't think everybody had the best time. It could have been it could have been awesome. I think that queue system is the wrong way to go if your goal is to sell hats, t-shirts, dolls, watches. You need to get people in and out quick and efficient, and you didn't do it. Anyway, what I did get is I got a little avatar poster. I did get, sent on a high note, I did get a really cool map of the Anaheim Convention Center. That's not something you have every day. I could probably sell that on eBay for $100. I got a really cool badge. It really is kind of a cool badge with a cool, I don't know what you call that, lanyard thing. And I got a little D23 bag. Anyway, in this world, when you can be anything you want, you be kind, which I wasn't today, humble, I've struggled with that one, and be forgiving. But I am forgiving. Life's too short. August 9th, 10th, and 11th. We went on the 10th. And it was a bust! But we'll try again in a couple years. 2026, I bet they fix it, and I'll be able to spend some money, assuming I have any. Anyway, take care. We'll talk to you later. Bye.